We always take small things for granted until they're gone. I started starting in choirs when I was 4 years old, and I've been singing a lot since then. When I was a high schooler, I was in 3 different choirs at the same time, singing all different parts. On my senior year, I was awarded top female vocalist for my school. And so I felt qualified to audition for vocal music education. I got accepted before I finished my audition. They said, "You don't need to sing anymore, we're taking you." I wanted to teach jazz in college. I wanted to be a college professor. I never really liked teaching younger people because they couldn't do like really difficult music. I always wanted to do like the juicy stuff. So I was very excited about it, but at about the same time I started not being able to understand my teachers talking anymore, so I started moving closer and closer and closer to the front of the room, my designated spot, and it didn't help. About the same time I was auditioning for juries and stuff for music, and it was starting to get a little difficult, but I still managed to do it. I got into opera, and we also did a musical, Kiss Me Kate, so I auditioned to get into both of those, and I got in. We ended up performing Kiss Me Kate right about the same time that I actually got my hearing aids, and then they didn't end up working very long. They stopped being useful probably a month after that. And I finished not being able to hear people speak anymore. Barely being able to hear the piano. I could still hear it a little bit, but not enough to really follow along. I had to like have my hand on the piano to even like keep the rhythm. I figured that I would never do music again. Stopped singing altogether, not even in the shower. Didn't want to, didn't feel the need. I just kind of gave up on everything. I locked myself in my dorm room for 2 weeks. And the only people who really realized I was gone was a couple of my teachers and my parents. They were the only ones who really knew because I never let anybody know what was going on. But I just nearly stopped living. I never like toyed with suicide or anything like that, but I just didn't feel any desire to do anything anymore. I certainly didn't want to sing in public anymore. And then when I moved back home, it was just the icing on the cake. It was like, well, now I'm living back with my family and my parents and sharing a room with my sister while I'm going to community college for a year to finish off my associates. My life is crap. I love my family, but you go from having your own place in a different city to going back to your family who all don't know how to communicate with you. They want to make things better, but they can't, and all they can do is kind of stare at you at the dinner table and smile. And you just stop living after that. I hate the sound of my alarm clock, but I don't hear it anymore, so I actually miss it. It's like an old friend. I keep looking at the alarm clock, and I have a dog that wakes me up in the morning, and she gets the enjoyment of listening to it, but I miss listening to things. I miss the symphony. I miss going to a movie theater. I miss that sound when you zip up your pants. Like, it doesn't matter, just like the small things, I just miss it. I mean, I don't hear enough to hear people speaking. I don't hear enough to hear the piano. I don't hear enough to really hear the stuff that's quote unquote important. So I think my decibels are worse than 110 or something. So it's like jets. like airplane jets, I can hear faintly. I started taking up ASL classes, and I was really bitter about that. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to have to learn another language. It's not something I should have to do. I didn't want to. I didn't want to be different. I didn't want to have to be forced into something. This is my service dog, Annie. Yeah, she's so cute. She wakes me up in the morning, and she also helps me know when there's somebody at the door, and any alarms. She keeps us safe. So cute. It's hard to believe that some people give these little guys up. Annie, sit. Bang. Good girl. Yes. I'd show her some of her commands and tricks, but that might get her a little confused. But I thought I'd introduce you to you. She's one of the loves of my love. Yeah, say bye, Annie. Kiss. Yeah. Kiss. Ah, there you go. Two things I like about this bank. One, they have cameras, so you can almost lip read what they're telling you. See, look at those. Shiny. Second thing I like about it, they know me here, so they know that I'm not going to respond, so I don't feel guilty when I don't say, oh, thank you, you too, have a nice day. Anyway, it's very interesting stuff you don't think about, but when you go through drive-thrus to get French fries or something like that and you can't hear them ask you questions and you just tell them what you want, people don't understand that this is a very hearing world, so I always think it's kind of funny. But at least this place has upgraded somewhat. Gotta love banks. And then after I became a little bit more comfortable with the fact that I was who I was and that my situation was permanent, I started dabbling in the fact that I really wanted to do music again. I didn't know how they would both coincide or work or even fit in the same sentence, but I started dabbling with it with my dad, and he would play his guitar, and I played a lot of guitar growing up. But with the pitch thing, I've always had perfect pitch. So one of those things that you're either gifted with or you're not. And I knew what the notes sounded like in my head. It took me a while to figure it out. It's like, I know what that sounds like. I've always had perfect pitch. I just need to trust myself. And so I just sang with him one day, and we both kind of looked at each other and like, hey, you did it. And I was like, I did it. And I did like a victory dance in my living room, and we were just ecstatic. You tell yourself for a year and a half, you're never gonna be able to do this anymore. Your dreams are dead, they're gone, they're buried, get over it. Then you don't think about it anymore, and then you're like, wait, it's still moving, it's still there. And so you pull it out from the dead. It doesn't feel real for a while until it just like a light bulb hit me. It's like, I'm gonna start pursuing music again. I'm gonna turn my life around. So, and then it was like a eureka moment, I guess you could say. We started doing lessons, and I started singing at Jay's a lot. Well, I started with one song. I was so afraid I thought I was gonna pee my pants and puke at the same time. I stood up there and I ended up singing My Funny Valentine, which is my favorite jazz standard, and I did a good job, and he was really proud of me, and he's like, do you want to sing another? Ha ha. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? So I sang another, and then I got invited next week, and then the next week, and then the next week, and then I've been singing there ever since, and it's been over a year, almost a year and a half. I start all the rhythms out before every song. So he asks me what it is, and I'll sing it, or sing a line or something, and we'll establish the beat. And then they'll go off of it, and then I sing, and if I end up progressively getting a little bit slower, a little bit faster, they follow me. I'm always looking at the bassist and then around the room, but I always have like an eye on the bassist because I can see what tempo he's going at. so I can always at least follow along where he is. I practice all the time, all throughout the day, every day, just to make sure that I can remember, just like fast. I can look at the piano, I can sing it, I'm fine. And if I can do that, then I should be fine. But you never know. I mean, you go from being able to hear to not being able to hear. It doesn't really shock me anymore that I might not be able to do something someday. I think the best part about it is when I'm singing, they like it anyway. Like, they like it. And then they're just like, wow, she's got such a great voice. I always get that compliment. You have such a great voice. This is amazing. Can you sign this? And I'm like, yeah, all right. But then when they realize somebody else will like whisper to him, you're like, she can't hear. And they're just like, no. And just like, yeah, totally. Watch. And every once in a while, like, people get glimpses of the truth, I guess you could consider it. And I never walk up to people, be like, oh, that's great music. I was like, thanks, I can't hear. I never really talk about it. Other people seem to talk about it for me, so I never bring it up. I'd rather have people like my music for what it is, and if they don't like it, then they don't like it. If they do like it, then awesome. But to be inspiring, I guess, for being able to pursue a dream I thought was dead. So do both at the same time, but I never want to do music with the pity factor. Smile has been one of those songs that no matter what kind of a mood you're in, seems to fit well with it. If you're happy, then it still makes you happy. If you're disgruntled or really upset about something, then it kind of gives you something to aim for, which seemed to fit in perfectly with how I was feeling. It's one of those things that even you just makes you happy. Smile, though your heart is aching. Smile, even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you'll get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile, it may be tomorrow. You'll see the sun come shining through for you. Light up your face with gladness, hide every trace of sadness. Although a tear may be ever so near, that's the time you must keep on trying. Smile, what's the use of crying? You'll see that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. Yeah. When I locked myself in my dorm room for 2 weeks, I had a long conversation with God. Because you ask yourself the question, it's like, why would he give me the passion to do something? Why would he give me a gift to do something and then just rip it out of my hands for no good reason? And then I just stopped talking to him. I didn't have anything left to say. Felt content with that answer. I was like, well, until you start talking to me first, I'm not going to talk to you. And it didn't take me long to miss him and miss talking to, have somebody to talk to, and started reading my Bible a lot more. It's funny because you always open your Bible when something really bad happens, but you never say thank you to God for good things, because you always are real quick to bash him in the face when bad things happen. But I had a very interesting conversation with my dad, and this is where everything kind of started turning around with my faith. We were sitting there and I asked him, I said, Dad, I don't know why God would do this. I don't understand the path I'm supposed to be on, or what I'm even supposed to be doing. And he was telling me, he's like, bad things happen all the time. And people are very quick to say, well, that must have been in the plan or something. He said, have you ever thought that maybe he's crying with you and that he's just holding your hand the whole time? He said, you don't need to understand the path. You don't need to know where it's supposed to end. You just have to stay on it. So if you just keep on the path, then it'll all work out. That's what I started doing. I was like, well, if I'm not going to know the answers, I might as well at least know what I know and keep on keeping on. Yeah. When all the world is a hopeless jumble and the raindrops tumble all around, heaven opens a magic lane. When all the clouds darken up the skyway, there's a rainbow highway to be found, leading from your window pane to a place beyond the moon, just a step beyond the rain. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I've heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops way above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly, birds fly over the rainbow. Why, then oh why can't I? If happy little bluebirds fly